Hi, I'm Paul Masvidal, and we're cooking with Meris. Today I'm creating a sort of cosmic roadmap using a Cynic song titled Evolutionary Sleeper. And what's happening here is I'm basically taking the MercuryX, the LVX, and the Enzo X, and I'm reinterpreting and kind of creating an entirely new kind of sonic galactic stew. So this first patch we used for the song Evolutionary Sleeper is called Precognition. It was a patch Terry created kind of inspired by Cynic, and it's so full. It has all those like overtones and harmonics. This is where it gets fun, because once you have like the song, which for me is more of a cathartic thing, like writing the song is like an act of staying alive, you know? It's more of a processing some kind of emotional space or whatever it is that's working through you. And then once you have that, you try and kind of produce it. You're trying to create an environment, right? We're creating the gravitational field for the UFO to move through. You know, this is like the idea. It's like you're setting up the environment. Another layer that was inspired essentially by Precognition, so I had that kind of as this bed. How do we add another texture? Poly84 Pad, it had this like retro ancient future thing. I don't know, that's how I hear it. It's normally in this song, the original kind of idea is this kind of busy 16th note riff. That's right. And I was like, okay, let's like revisit this instead of like doing this straight kind of distorted, direct, heavy kind of progressive rock metal sound. When I heard this like arpeggiation patch, suddenly it was like, wow, this is like bouncing around. I mean, it was moving around in the room and in the space, and it's doing this arpeggiation kind of sequence that's really seemingly unpredictable. And it basically changed the way that I played. So if I play the riff just directly as I played it on the record, this is what it would sound like. So it's like picking up different kind of sections of, depending on how hard I pick on that sequence, or like, but when I hear that, and what's really cool is so now it's just looping it, but I can rewrite that loop. I can just basically do something else. Whoa, okay, there's the holographic fields. There's all of the iridescence, you know, that we're looking for in like this interesting syncopated part, like this just whoosh, awash, you know. For the bridge section of the song, we ended up going with another Terry Cynic inspired patch. In the original recording has a 16th notey kind of almost like death style riff as the main riff that's driving the song. And I thought, how do we again create more expansion? And when I heard this patch, I was like, oh, this works as just like starlight jabs, just like these big kind of quantum chopsticks that are just like kind of hitting the downbeats of the song. And just to give you an example. all you need is these chords to kind of set up the harmony for this environment, and then let the drum and bass kind of drive it, right? I don't have to do any driving here. I'm just kind of letting the pedal do the work and just playing the chords. And now we're moving into kind of a almost like a more of a textural part, which is this ascending kind of climbing octave section that's kind of building up. It's just building up the tension, and it's called Orb Prism, and it's on the MercuryX. And the idea with this thing was that what I heard was like a geometry that has this like fractured quality. It's like almost combusting. It's right on the edge. So let me give you an example of what this sounds like. For the end of the song, it's like, has this kind of cathartic guitar solo that generally the solo is executed in a very kind of fluid and melodic way. And when I heard this patch, MAVS tape loss, and it's number 76 on the LVX, has this almost like scintillation point. It's like compression and just geometric kind of just like everything's being squished together and just like about to implode. If you just play a standard kind of guitar sound, that's just my solo sound with nothing on it.
What is your first memory of hearing an electric guitar sound, and what do you love most about the instrument?
The first memory was my brother's best friend, Lance, playing like Zeppelin and Pink Floyd songs in my brother's room, which was right next to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like through an amp. He was just jamming.
Oh, he was playing guitar.
He was playing guitar. Okay. And I was probably like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. And I was like, that sounds so cool. Right. And I got a bass, actually. I was like 9.
Oh, at first you got a bass.
Yeah. And then I got a guitar. I'm a lefty, but I kind of, so I was doing with the strings upside down at first. And then I was like, this is weird. And then I had a teacher. This first teacher I had was like, you gotta play righty. There's no left-handed guitar. This is going to be a nightmare for you. So I switched, and then I eventually got it. But yeah, Lance was like the entry point. It was really my brother and his homie who were like just jamming like classic rock, and then I had a mom who was listening to like 70s folk and kind of American, like soft rock and stuff. And I just remember hearing that music and like Bread and all these bands from that era. And it was like, oh, I want to do that, Okay. But then I got hip to like, Eddie Van Halen and all the rock people. But I don't know, the guitar for me, like it feels like an extension of my nervous system or something. Like it's almost like there's so much subtlety and ways to express yourself. It can do so many things. It can be, you can slide, you can mute, you can, bend, you can do all these things to kind of communicate. And so it has a lot of qualities that are unique to the instrument. It holds a lot of space, and this seems like the right tool to work through my stuff. We're all trying to use these as tools to kind of say something.
Right. I just remember the first time I heard distortion and thinking, well, what is that? Like guitar distortion.
Oh yeah.
Like I had no idea like how that was created.
Yeah.
I don't know if that.
Oh, that's your brain. See, you're like the engineer. I was more like, that sounds fucking cool, and I want to sound like that.
What band was it though that you first experienced that? Was it Zeppelin?
I think it was probably because I had an older brother. It was like Sabbath.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's my earliest memory of like heavier music with distortion. Maybe Hendrix.
Yeah.
And then obviously like it got into like Maiden and the visceral aspect of distortion was just like, ooh, what the hell's going on here? So yeah, it was, it just felt like it resonated. It just, it's one of those things where you feels like, for me, when I got the guitar and I finally like sat, and I'll never forget like a point, I was probably 12 or 13, where I was like, this feels like an extension of my body. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like it was just like, I knew it was like, this is my path. This was my jam. I felt lucky in that sense, because it was like I had this way to get through a childhood that wasn't easy. Yeah. And I could run to this guitar and just like practice and play. And it was like either that or end up down a really gnarly road.
What age did you start?
I felt like I started to like, get some chops and stuff like maybe 13, 14, where I was like, oh, I can play fast. And you know what I mean? Like where you feel like you have some technique, but it's an evolving organism. Like you never get a hold of this thing. That's the other thing. It's like, I'm so stoked on guitar because I feel like I'll never be bored for the rest of my life. Just give me a guitar and leave me anywhere. You can lock me in a padded chamber and I'm good, because there's just like endless, possibilities. It's just like an infinite well of exploration. And so I'm kind of enamored with the instrument. It's just so cool. and you can never get a hold of it. It would take lifetimes to really kind of master a guitar. It's like you just can't quite, it's so deep, So that to me is exciting.
And then what age did you meet Sean Reinert then?
13, 14, I met Sean, junior high. And we met, and we were literally like in the cafeteria in elementary school and junior high, and a mutual friend of ours goes, you're the only drummer and you're the only guitar player in school. You guys should know each other. And I remember Sean like got the pepper shaker and put the pepper in his hand, and he goes, And I swear that was our dynamic. It was like we had this
Like a
tension.
playful thing.
It was playful, but it was because he was a comic. Sean was the funniest guy on the planet, but also we had this inherent tension that became part of the dynamic that became the sound. And that was the creative mojo of that band, really, you know, the origins of it. And we got in a room. I literally played the day we met. We went back to his house. He's like, I got a drum kit in my
the same
bedroom.
day?
Yeah. And we went back to his mom's house, and he had his fucking crazy kit with rototoms and shit, like in his bedroom. It was like this little twin bed and a drum set. And I brought my little amp over, like I think a PV Bandit or something.
What was your guitar at that time?
It was like a Washburn.
Okay.
It was one of those things that I am so grateful for, because I realize how rare it is to have that telepathic thing with somebody as a child.
That's so
You don't even know each other as people, but you communicate through music. And we just had this like lingo going on where it was like, wow, I know you and you know me, and we're listening to each other. And we were like just these kids going through our own bullshit, trying to survive life. And yet we could connect through this medium.
You guys were like instant brothers.
Instant, like musical, just like.
And then later you guys did the demos, and then is that how you met Chuck Schuldiner?
Yeah, like back then there was a tape trading scene. It was like a whole underground tape trading scene. And so we would make mixtapes for homies and just like, oh, check out this band. And it was all snail mail.
Yeah.
And so it was a big underground tape trading scene. And
Yeah, it was the same with our bands too.
okay, yeah. So Chuck was in the scene. He was a tape trader too.
So we heard you guys?
Well, I heard his demo. This is before we even had demos, actually. But I remember hearing early Death demos, maybe even Mantis, like his band before Death. But then I heard, it wasn't until he made Infernal Death, which was the demo that got him the record deal, which had Zombie Ritual and all that, that I was like, Death are fucking cool. And then my friend Steve in Miami was like, I got his phone number. And I was like, give me his fucking number, man. So he gives me his number, and I literally called Chuck. This is what you did back then. And I was like, dude, your music's rad, you know, like, and we became friends, like guitar homies. We were like guitar brothers, and we were like Miami City kids. And he was up in Orlando, which is like Central Florida by Disney World.
Yeah.
And we would jam. And he became my friend, really. It was like a kind of friendship that I was like this guy he knew I was like this outsider in a way, because I was a Miami kid. I wasn't part of the Central Florida scene. And I was also like, you know, but we stayed in touch over the years. And then he booted out, he split whatever his guitarist from the first two albums. And he was like, man, I need somebody. We're playing these shows. I literally missed my high school graduation.
What?
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll go fucking play these shows. And I was like in shock, because I was just like in this little underground metal band playing warehouse parties. And suddenly I'm like in an arena in Mexico with Death or like the Beatles.
So you're playing this like the first two album material.
Yeah.
And on tour, like
on tour, like literally, they're like, you got to learn fucking 15 songs in like
Sean too?
4 days. No, this is Sean wasn't involved. Yeah, and then we stayed in touch. They tried to get me in the band, and I was like, nope, Cynic. Sean's my homie. This is my path.
Yeah.
And then I did a tour for Spiritual Healing when he parted with James. So I was like his little go-to friend when he was like in a bind. You know, he knew I could like learn
this is way before Human.
Before Human.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we already had this like trust. We already had developed a language as friends and musical, where he kind of trusted me and I trusted him, and then Human was just organically kind of the drummer thing happened, and then it was like I pitched Sean. I was like, dude, I got your drummer too, man.
Cool.
And Steve appears, you know.
So Steve wasn't in the band until that point?
I don't think so. I think Steve was like connected to Chris Reifert and the whole NorCal scene from Scream Bloody Gore from the early days. But I think, Human was his first record with Death.
Cool.
So you guys did this whole record. I have a memory of that record like being one of the first like cool death metal records that I was introduced to. But then obviously that record rules. But then after that, you were like, no, we need to do Cynic again, right?
Yeah.
So it was like pretty focused vision of music.
You know, it's like loyalty to like your vision and your path. And we knew we had our own thing to do. We had our own things to say. And Chuck was like a very realized vision in terms of Chuck's work. But he also, what was cool is that he gave us a lot of freedom. He was like, bring your your stuff to this.
Right.
But this is my world, you know? And it was cool because we got to like bring a lot of our thing and kind of help in some ways elevate it to a certain place. But we also like had our own story and journey to take. And this was a time, you know, now people are in like 5 bands and everyone's like, you know, making albums in different countries. But back then it was more like you stuck with your one band and you just did this thing and this was your full-time job. And there's something to be said about that because it's just like all of your energy goes into this one thing and you just give it all you got, you know?
So you recorded Focus right after that?
Yeah, basically we had finished all this human touring and we got back to Miami and the human tour imploded in Europe. Basically, this was when the band kind of broke up again.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing where it all combusted. And we got back and basically a promoter held our gear hostage in Europe. And I got on the phone, collect call, like, you know, doing like, back then it was like, I remember I rung up this crazy phone bill. Yeah, and called the promoter and I'm like, man, you know, we have to make a record. We're in another band, like, please. And he actually like let go of our gear and shipped it back to like Chuck or something. Like I somehow made it work. This is what's funny is that, so we were like, okay, we're gonna get our gear. We're gonna dive back into the Cynic record. But then a hurricane hit Miami and just devastated that city. It was called Hurricane Andrew. It was 1992. And it was insane. I mean, literally like a bomb just decimated the city. And so we went to make Focus and we had to stall for an entire year. And basically because our rehearsal room was gone, our other guitar player lost his house. Like, so it was a blessing though, because in that year we just sat in our rooms with no internet and no distractions and focused on making a really cool record. And we were just like lost in the insanity of a process and we became better musicians. So the record matured. It suddenly became more realized, you know, because we had more time. It was like,
when you guys had more time, what kind of elements got added?
oh, like the vocoder. I mean, there was already like these talking parts, but I discovered the vocoder kind of quality because I knew I wanted something other. I was growling at the time.
Right.
And it was like cool and I was into the brutals, but I was like, we need some melodic element, you know? And when I discovered that quirky little thing with the vocoder, I was like, holy shit, this is super ethereal and trippy and like, sounds like alien fucking prog metal, you know? I was like, and it has an emotional quality. It's like the melodies are interesting. I didn't want to do a power metal melodic thing. It had to be something off. And I also was like not secure enough as a singer, so I could like hide behind the vocoder. And it was like a beautiful thing because it had this vibe. It was like, this fits, you know?
Futuristic.
So that was kind of a big thing. And then also like, I think the introduction of guitar synths, like we were kind of into synthesizing things, but we also weren't like, Sean was a pianist before a drummer. So he had some keyboard chops, like the end of the Eagle Nature is Sean playing that piano part on the keyboard. But like a lot of it was layered clean with synth sounds with these, you know, old school synths. So that was another thing, which was kind of a big thing in terms of the sound. It was like, what's going on here? It was like textured. All the clean parts have little pads and little delicate synthy things that were just like bells and, you know, I mean, it was
unexpected stuff.
totally. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. We are back on planet Earth, grounding, finding our way back here after traversing the universe, making cosmic and multi-dimensional patches using Meris pedals. What we're going to make here is a classic Negroni, a bittersweet, sharp, elegant cocktail, much like life. This is the cocktail of choice to wrap up our journey. All right, so we got some appropriate spherical ice cubes out of the freezer, Orb Prism shaped. And Negroni consists of equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari. So I'm gonna go ahead and start making the drink here. The choice of gin here is St. George from NorCal. All right, so now we're gonna taste this cocktail. This is the classic Negroni. Yeah, it's like the first thing that I taste is this almost like electric bitterness. It's almost like the sweet vermouth interacting with the Campari. That's like the first thing. And then you get the herbal qualities of the gin. It's like has that shock first, that kind of bitterness, but the palate at the end is almost like a wine or something. It's a very complex drink, and it certainly is an acquired taste. Like I got this one later in life, but now I'm like, find it to be really refreshing, bittersweet and complex, kind of like life. Cheers.